Alrighty, since we're on the subject of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, speaking of all of these former Shield members, this is a great segue into our next segment, a return of Columnist Corner. The columnist in question is none other than our very own Charlie. He wrote up a column in which you can read on PWFempire.com. It's a continuation of a concept that he created last year. The title of the concept is What If? And the previous subject was, what if John Cena can't beat Mark Henry? And that was, of course, spinning out of the match that they had for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank. Well, this time around the title is, what if WWE's next big thing is its next big swerve? Before we get to the column itself, what compelled you to write it?
I guess just the Roman Reigns talk and the direction and is it going to work out and this, that, the next thing. And it just kind of came from a standpoint of, what if this is too good to be true? Like, what if this is just too obvious and there's more to this and, what could be that more and this, that, the next, what we talked about with what if it doesn't work out or what if shit starts to hit the fan or what if you need to switch up. And it kind of came to me in that way, just kind of what are the options with Roman Reigns moving forward if everything doesn't go as, the writing on the wall says.
Okay, so this was definitely an interesting column to say the least. You basically broke it up into 4 sections, and to kick things off, the way that all of these events are set into motion, the first step was having... I can't even say it. You say it.
Roman Reigns defeats Seth Rollins and claims the Money in the Bank briefcase.
2 questions.
This is getting really good so far.
2 questions. What the fuck were you smoking when you thought about that? And the second question is, how are you going to make this work?
And the third question is, where can I find some? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'll just skip to question 2 and I'll plead the 5th on question 1. How it's going to work is, the one thing that's annoying me with these 2 guys is that I think that neither of them has a clear-cut long-term direction. In that I think Seth Rollins' role with the Authority is a little bit not something they're going to sustain very long. It doesn't give him long-term build to a character. And Roman Reigns kind of floating and not really having something to cling to is kind of hurting him. I think that in some way what would happen is Reigns would defeat Rollins. Maybe you can even do kind of a fuck finish where Kane tries to run in and fucks things up, and you do that, and you can kind of give Roman Reigns something to do, like give him something to cling to, give him a path to walk on, while at the same time starting to really form who Seth Rollins is going to be. He drops that briefcase, and it turns into a total, what's next, and is this role with the Authority really going to work long term, and who is Seth Rollins? We start to get more of a kind of advancement in who Seth Rollins is rather than Seth Rollins holding the briefcase being plan B.
Alrighty then, speaking of plan Bs, I guess everybody has it in their mind set that Roman Reigns is going to be the one to win the Royal Rumble, but one name that we have not mentioned yet on PWTR, the third member of the Shield. You actually have the next step in this process, Dean Ambrose winning the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Yes, I think Dean Ambrose is on his path to becoming a star, and I think that he's got to do something big at WrestleMania, and I really want to see Dean Ambrose for Brock Lesnar because I think his character could oppose Brock Lesnar really well, in that he's just a crazy son of a bitch, and he's not afraid of Brock Lesnar, and he'll take his ass whooping and keep kind of coming back. It'll be a really good match, and I think the way you can kind of build off of it is possibly to have, Dean Ambrose eliminate Roman Reigns to kind of push towards the direction we're heading in, and the idea that we have a way where we can start to build towards 2 stars as opposed to 1.
And that second person that you're talking about there, Roman Reigns, talk about building up a star. I guess you would have Dean Ambrose win against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but his moment in the spotlight is not going to last long because at third point, Roman Reigns cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase and becomes a WWE World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania.
That's definitely an interesting part, because to do this in the main event of WrestleMania, to do this at the end of Brock Lesnar's title reign, it's kind of something that you wouldn't really see, and a lot of people wouldn't really see that as a satisfying ending, but I think that that's kind of what you build off of. That, you know, Roman Reigns comes out and does this dastardly thing to this person who he was friends with, and, you know, his brother, and the guy in the Shield who is still kind of not necessarily his partner anymore, but is still kind of his friend and his ally. And to do this would kind of kick off a Roman Reigns character that I would really want to see, which is a fuck y'all, I'm here and I'm here to whoop some ass and I'm here to be the guy and this, that, and the next thing. So he comes out through the curtain. You know, Dean Ambrose can barely stand. He's been through this war with Brock Lesnar, and he steps into the ring, and it's just this shock of like, what the hell is going on? You know, he rises to his feet and is just kind of pissed at Reigns, and Reigns just spears him, and that's your finish. And you could even use this to build off of, maybe if this is Brock's last match, you know, Paul Heyman is still an asset, and Reigns comes out and takes out Ambrose, and next night on Raw, Roman Reigns reveals the mastermind, and out walks Paul Heyman. And there you go. You give Paul Heyman his next, you know, big thing, his next big guy, this big destructive force. There you go. You got something to build on there.
And what would be your final step in this process? And this was probably the most exciting one for me, because I guess SummerSlam is going to become like an annual thing here on PWTR. So let's fast forward. Roman Reigns becomes WWE World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. And what is your SummerSlam 2015 main event?
The SummerSlam main event would be Roman Reigns defending against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in a triple threat match. I think that you would build off of the idea that after Roman Reigns defeats Dean Ambrose, and people really love Ambrose. You know, like I said, I'm not blind to the state of WWE. As big a Roman Reigns fan I am, I'm well aware of Dean Ambrose's current, you know, position in the company, and he's mad over it. You know, that's a big triumphant win that is taken from him, and you build towards him getting his redemption while introducing a newly kind of reinvented Seth Rollins, and each member of the Shield now has a reason to dislike each other. You know, Seth Rollins was the one that broke up the group. You've now created tension between Reigns and Ambrose, and you kind of have a story to build off of there. You know, you have Paul Heyman next to Roman Reigns, but you could even, you know, kind of take him out a little bit, you know, maybe have Ambrose attack him or something, kind of just boil this down to these guys and, you know, eliminate outside factors and create just these guys in the ring. They all have an issue with each other. The fans are kind of taking their side. You've kind of built up Seth Rollins to a point. You know, I was thinking, I didn't really talk about other guys' directions and what they'd be doing at the show, but you could possibly do Rollins and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, or Rollins and Triple H, even if you really wanted to go that route. Something like that, kind of Rollins beating and breaking away from the Authority, and then coming back into this feud and just bring all three of these guys together. And you really hit to what Dean Ambrose said the point of the Shield was. You know, if you watch that SummerSlam, Road to SummerSlam documentary on the network, he said the point of the Shield was to get to the top of WWE, and that really can be applied beyond just when they're together. You know, now that they're separate, that's still the point, and they come together in this match to see who the guy is.
Yeah, his exact words were, the goal from day one with the Shield was take over the business. So whether we're friends or enemies, we're going to own the business. And this path that you laid out for a main event, triple threat match, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, me being such a huge Shield fan, that sounds fucking amazing. It sounds absolutely amazing, but I have no idea if WWE is actually going to apply it, though. But you laid out a perfect path for it to happen. So I would say that this is a great read, and I definitely suggest any of you guys who may be watching right now to go ahead and check it out on PWFEmpire.com. What if WWE's next big thing is their next big swerve? Man, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, the part that I appreciate about all this with Charlie and the way that he laid this out there is that it really seems like he put a lot of thought into how certain events would affect these characters and how he would have to take a broad approach in looking forward and seeing what his options would be if he were to take certain actions. And I can appreciate that he's looking so far ahead, whereas the way that WWE books sometimes, it looks like they don't even know what they're going to do next week. So, kudos for that.